Game of Thrones. It's a worldwide phenomenon, capturing the imaginations of millions of people, bringing them into an expansive and incredibly detailed fantasy world with so much lore and history. This is exactly the type of property that lends itself perfectly to video games. So how have game developers brought this incredible fantasy world to life? How have they captured the political intrigue, the intense scale, the enormous battles?
I'm being attacked!
Like this. They coming in. Oh, he got the spear. Oh shit. Okay, all right. He got that guy. Oh, they're dropping like flies. Holy shit. Oh.
I'm being attacked.
This is a big charge. Oh fuck. Oh god. Oh Jesus, it's a massacre. Oh god, this is awesome.
My destination is clear. Straight away. Straight away. My destination is clear.
Let's talk about this one first. This game does not feel like Game of Thrones. Now, based on what I've played of the campaign, there seems to be a decent effort put into story accuracy, and this game may provide some interesting content for fans of the books, like big fans who understand a lot of the lore references made in this game. But in my opinion, that's completely unimportant and irrelevant if you could just change the title of the game and you wouldn't even know this has anything to do with Game of Thrones. It's entirely disconnected from the source material on a very core and internal level. Not to mention, this game was made in 2011. Look at it! It looks like it was made in 2001, and it plays just the same. It's clunky and hard to control. You can't keep track of what you're doing very well. This game is not entirely hopeless. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by some of the gameplay elements and by the fact that they seem to have made an obvious attempt to escape from some of the RTS tropes. You know, there's some gameplay elements in here that I haven't really seen before, but like I said before, they're clunky and not fully explored, so it's hard to really take enjoyment in those things. And plus, this is the only Game of Thrones RTS. I can't help but feel disappointed at this wasted opportunity to bring this series to life. Don't play this, man. Don't fucking buy this game. Alright, next on the chopping block. Windows 10 is a piece of shit, and so is this game, so it won't fucking work. So I had to watch through most of this game, and from what I can tell, it's closer. It's closer, but it's still not quite right. I mean, this is the same developer as the last game. The same developer taking another shot at the same universe. Two completely different kind of games. We got an RPG and we got an RTS, and this is the same developer doing one of each, and they still miss the mark. What the fuck? I mean, this is a totally different type of game. It's a third-person, large-scale Game of Thrones RPG. That's exactly what so many people want to see, but it is so bogged down by poor gameplay, clunky mechanics, overly dreary and uninspired set pieces, and game-breaking bugs, not to mention that, yeah, okay, this game's a couple years old, but these graphics are pretty shit. I mean, come on. I mean, the gameplay is just, it's not fun. It doesn't look fun. I mean, it looks monotonous and boring.
When the pulse-pounding action becomes overwhelming, the player can slow down time.
The story seems to be what shines here, taking place before the show starts, but it still relies too heavily on riding the popularity of the series. I mean, this is a complete and utter mistake. Time and time again, the game based on a movie fails completely by trying to follow the story and the narrative of the movie too closely. The best movie or TV series games are the ones that are able to expand upon what exists, explore different aspects of what we love about the source material, and give us something fresh and new. And that's exactly what we need for Game of Thrones. And there's pieces of that here. There's hints of that here. Hints of that exploration that is needed, but it's not enough. It's not even close to enough. Okay, what next? What next? Done that one. Done that one. Not you. Wait, what's this? Wait a second. Game of Thrones MMO? Announced in 2012. Release date 2013. Still under development? Wait, browser-based? On the Unity engine? Wait, who the fuck is this developer? Okay, wait, what games have these guys made? Oh no. Oh no! Oh god, no! Why does HBO keep passing their license off to kind of game companies? Alright, so that leaves us with our final game. The very first Telltale game I ever played was the first season of The Walking Dead. And my immediate first thought was like, wow, this is really cool. These guys should make a Game of Thrones game. That would be perfect. And a couple of years later, lo and behold, the game was announced. But for some reason, I never brought myself to play it until now. I think I somehow knew that this was not the Game of Thrones experience that I was really looking for. Now, before you jump down my throat, don't get me wrong, this is a good game. It's a good game. And in my opinion, it's probably the closest that a game can come to making the player feel like they're in the world of the show. This game puts you there, and it succeeds in what it attempts to do in that regard. But that's also the overarching problem of the game. This goes back to what I was saying before, sticking too close to the story and characters we've established in the series can only take you so far. This game does it well, it succeeds in what it's trying to do. It ties in characters from the show, using the actual voice actors, which is cool. But because of this, it's entirely limited to the already established narrative of the series. It's unable to make any bold statements or stray too far from where the show goes, or stray from where the show goes at all. It provides us with a new story, new characters. It does expand upon the series as it exists, and these characters feel, you know, realistically grounded in the world of the show. But because of that, it leads us to be able to entirely predict what's going to happen next. We already know what's going to happen with the show, and especially with the show so far ahead, I don't see any big major surprises coming our way in this series. Oh, speaking of which, when is the next Telltale game coming out? Oh no. Oh no. Look, as far as Game of Thrones games go, this is definitely as good as it gets. But I think we should be able to expect more than this. I mean, there's so much more that could be explored in this world. There's so much awesome content, so many cool stories that we could dive into and explore. It's such a rich and detailed world, and we could get some fantastic games to explore that world. And I just want to see that. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of the incredible mods that have been created for the Game of Thrones universe. I mean, these mods capture the feeling of the series much better than the actual games that have been made in this universe. Mods for Total War, Europa Universalis, Mountain Blade, but my personal favorite is the mod for Crusader Kings 2. Now, this mod has painstakingly recreated the entire world of Game of Thrones. The entire world. Every character, every alliance, every lineage, every storyline. It's all in this mod for hundreds of years of history within Game of Thrones. It blows every attempt by major studios to make a Game of Thrones game out of the water. It completely obliterates them. It's so good. The Crusader Kings 2 gameplay lends itself so well to the Game of Thrones universe that I highly recommend that you check this out. I think it's the best Game of Thrones experience out there as of now. Now, this mod is great, but I still feel like we should be able to expect more, like a true AAA Game of Thrones video game. If I had to make one Game of Thrones game that I think could capture every aspect of this world so well, I would pass that license on to Creative Assembly. Now, I know they're not for everybody, but the Total War games are some of my favorites ever made. Now, there are some mods for the Total War games, but they're not gonna deliver the same experience that the developer could deliver themselves. They could be able to perfectly capture all of the major periods of conflict in the series through the Total War RTS style gameplay, and with some upgrades and tweaks to the political and diplomatic options in the campaign to bring it closer to what we see in Crusader Kings mods, this could be the perfect Game of Thrones game. I mean, we fans of this series, we all want the same thing. We all want to be transported into this world. We want to feel like we're there. We want to be a part of it. We want to be transported into these characters and their stories. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. Just don't play that fucking MMO.
There was a pair